The Valari homeworld of Thesan Prime was dying. Not from war, not from famine, but from something invisible and cruel. A plague had swept across the planet like wildfire, killing millions in just a few weeks. The hospitals overflowed with the sick and the dying. The streets grew quiet as people locked themselves in their homes, afraid to breathe the same air as their neighbors. High Counselor Mira Veth stood at the great window of the council chamber, watching the empty city below. She was old by Valari standards, her silver skin marked with the lines of many difficult decisions. But nothing had prepared her for this. Every morning brought new death counts. Every evening brought new pleas from provincial leaders, begging for help that she could not give. The Valari were a proud people. They had built a civilization that spanned 3 star systems. Their technology was advanced, their culture refined, their history stretching back thousands of years. But this plague was beyond them. Their best scientists worked day and night, and still the disease spread. Still their people died. Ambassador Joran Cass entered the chamber quietly. He was younger than most diplomats, chosen for his sharp mind and his willingness to speak uncomfortable truths. Today, he carried a proposal that would anger many on the council. "We must send the signal," he said, without greeting. Myra did not turn from the window. "You know what they will say. The council will never agree. Then the council will watch our people die." Joran stepped closer. "We have tried everything else. The Korath refused to share their medical knowledge. The Syndicate wants payment we cannot afford. The Concord has declared our system under quarantine and forbidden any ships from approaching. We have one option left: the humans." Myra finally turned. Her eyes were tired but hard. A species that every other civilization in the galaxy considers dangerous, primitive, aggressive. A species that has doctors and scientists and ships that could reach us, Joran countered. A species that owes nothing to the Concord and might ignore their quarantine. Mira was silent for a long moment. She remembered the humans from that brief trade negotiation 5 years ago. Strange creatures, soft-skinned and emotional. They smiled too much and talked too loudly. The negotiation had ended poorly when a human captain had grown offended at what he perceived as an insult. The Valari had dismissed them as immature, not worth the trouble of continued contact. Now she was considering begging those same humans for help. "If we do this," she said slowly, "and they come, what message does that send? That the mighty Valari could not save themselves and had to cry to the barbarians for aid. It sends the message that our leaders chose survival over pride." Joran held out a data tablet. "I have already prepared the distress signal. It requests medical aid. Doctors, supplies, researchers. Nothing more. We are asking for help, not invasion." Myra took the tablet. The message was simple and direct. It outlined the plague, the death toll, and the desperate need for assistance. It asked for nothing military. It promised payment and future friendship. She pressed her thumb to the authorization, seal before she could change her mind, dot far across the galaxy. The signal traveled through relay stations and communication buoys, crossing vast distances in mere hours. It reached Earth's United Defense Command at 0347 hours, waking Admiral Catherine Brooks from an uneasy sleep. Catherine was a woman who had seen war. She had commanded ships in 3 major conflicts and lost friends in all of them. Her hair was gray now, cut short and practical. Her face showed the weight of command. When her communications officer brought her the decoded message, she read it twice before speaking. "Give me Dr. Samuel Price from Xenobiology. And Commander Daniel Hughes. My ready room 30 minutes." The meeting was brief. Samuel Price was a tall man with gentle hands, a doctor who had dedicated his life to understanding alien biology. He read the Valari message with growing concern. "If their death toll estimates are accurate," he said, This plague is spreading faster than anything I have seen, and the symptoms they describe are unusual, almost too aggressive to be natural. Commander Hughes frowned. He was a tactical mind, trained to see threats everywhere. You think it is artificial? I think it is possible. The Valari have enemies. The Kreth Dominion has been pushing at their borders for decades. A bioweapon would be exactly their style. Weaken the target before invasion. Admiral Brooks absorbed this information quietly. The Valari are asking for medical aid. Ships with doctors and supplies. Nothing else. With respect, Admiral, Hughes said, the space between here and Thiessen Prime is not friendly. If we send a medical frigate alone, it might never arrive. And if this plague is indeed a Kreth operation, they will be watching, waiting. Catherine stood and walked to the star map on her wall. The route to Valari space was marked with red zones. Hostile territory. Pirate activity. Kreth patrol routes. What do you recommend? Hughes hesitated. We send the doctors, but we send them protected. The Third Fleet is ready. 17 warships, full combat capability. We escort the medical personnel to Thiessen Prime, and we stay until the job is done. Samuel nodded slowly. I can have a full medical contingent ready in 12 hours. Research teams, field hospitals, treatment supplies. Everything we might need. Catherine looked at the map for a long time. The Valari had asked for a helping hand. She was about to give them an armored fist. Make it happen, she said finally. We leave in 18 hours. The news spread quickly through the fleet. Sailors and soldiers prepared for deployment, loading supplies and running final checks on weapon systems. In the medical bays, doctors and nurses packed equipment. They hoped they would need and prayed they would be enough. Admiral Brooks stood on the bridge of the flagship carrier, Resolute Dawn, as the fleet assembled in Earth orbit. 17 ships, ranging from nimble destroyers to heavy cruisers, formed up in perfect formation. They were not built for mercy missions. They were built for war, but sometimes, Catherine knew, mercy required strength. Sometimes, helping someone meant being ready to fight for them. She gave the order, and the Third Fleet jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving Earth behind. The Valari had sent a desperate cry into the darkness. They expected a few doctors on a small ship. They were about to receive something very different. The censor officer's voice trembled as he delivered the report. High Counselor Mira Veth felt her blood turn cold at his words. 17 vessels approaching from the human sectors. All military classification. Heavy weapons signatures. They will arrive in 6 hours. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Voices shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others called for activating the planetary defense systems. Ambassador Joran Ka stood silent in the corner, his face pale with confusion. We asked for doctors, one counselor screamed. They send warships? This is invasion. Mira raised her hand for silence. It took several minutes for the room to quiet. When she spoke, her voice was steady despite the fear in her chest. We do not know their intentions. We will wait, and we will watch. Prepare the defense grid, but do not activate it. Open a communication channel and keep it ready. The hours passed slowly. Across the planet, word spread of the approaching human fleet. People who were already terrified of the plague now faced a new fear. Some fled to underground shelters. Others simply prayed. Ambassador Joran reviewed the sensor data again and again, trying to understand. The human fleet formation was defensive, not offensive. Their weapons were powered but not targeting. It made no sense for an invasion force. They are protecting something, he muttered to himself. But what? Aboard the Resolute Dawn, Admiral Catherine Brooks prepared for first contact. She had reviewed everything known about Valari culture and psychology. They valued dignity, and respected strength. They feared surprises and distrusted emotion. "Lieutenant Grant," she said to her intelligence officer, "what is your latest analysis on the plague?" Amy Grant was young but brilliant, recruited straight from university for her pattern recognition abilities. She pulled up her data on the main screen. "Admiral, I am now 90% certain this plague is artificial. The genetic structure shows signs of engineering. The way it targets Valari biology specifically is too precise to be natural evolution. Someone made this disease. The Kreth? Most likely. We intercepted communications suggesting Kreth observation ships are monitoring the Valari system from long range. They are waiting for something." Commander Hughes added his assessment. "If I were planning an invasion, this is exactly how I would do it. Release a bioweapon, wait for the target to weaken, then strike when they cannot fight back. The Valari military is already stretched thin dealing with plague containment. Another month, and they will have nothing left." Catherine nodded grimly. "Then we arrived just in time. Open a channel to the Valari government. Wide broadcast so their whole planet can hear." The communication screens across Thesan Prime flickered to life. The image of a human woman in military uniform appeared. She sat calmly in a command chair, her expression serious but not hostile. "This is Admiral Catherine Brooks of the United Earth Defense Force. We received your distress signal and have come to help. Our fleet carries a full medical contingent, including doctors, researchers, and treatment supplies. We also bring protection." Myra Veth responded from the council chamber, her image transmitted back to the human ships. "Admiral Brooks, we are grateful for your response, but we asked for medical aid. We did not ask for a war fleet. Explain your intentions." "Our intentions are exactly what I stated, High Counselor. We are here to help you fight this plague. But our intelligence suggests this disease was not natural. We believe you are facing a biological attack and that a military assault may follow. We intend to prevent that." The council chamber went silent. Biological attack. Military assault. These were fears that many had whispered but none had spoken aloud. "You have evidence of this?" Myra asked carefully. "We do. We are transmitting our analysis now. But more importantly, we are transmitting preliminary research our medical teams conducted during our journey. Dr. Samuel Price, head of our Xenobiology division, has been working on your plague since we departed Earth. He believes he has identified several possible treatment approaches." The data began flowing into Valari computers. Their own scientists rushed to analyze it. Within minutes, reports came back to the council. The human research was solid. More than solid. In just a few days of travel, human scientists had made progress that Valari researchers had failed to achieve in weeks. Dr. Thesan Null, the most respected physician on Thesan Prime, contacted the council directly. "High Counselor, this human research is remarkable. Their approach is unorthodox but promising. If they can work alongside our teams, we might actually have a chance to stop this plague." Myra looked at the tactical display. 17 human warships in perfect formation. A fleet that could destroy her weakened world without effort. Instead, they sat patiently in space, waiting for permission to help. "Admiral Brooks," she said slowly, "why did you bring warships?" Truthfully, Catherine's response was simple. "Because someone is trying to kill your people, High Counselor. And when we answer a call for help, we bring everything we have. If you only need doctors, then our ships will stand quiet guard, and you will never see our weapons fire. But if someone tries to attack you while you are weak and sick, they will have to go through us first." Joran Cash stepped forward and whispered to Myra. "She means it. Look at their formation. They are not positioned for attack. They are positioned to defend." Myra made her decision. Perhaps it was desperation. Perhaps it was the exhaustion of watching her people die. Or perhaps it was something in the human admiral's eyes, a sincerity that could not be faked. You have permission to enter orbit, Admiral. Send your medical teams to the coordinates we will provide. And I pray you are right about our need for protection. Catherine nodded. Thank you, High Counselor. We will not let you down. As the human fleet moved into position around Thiessen Prime, Dr. Samuel Price began preparing the landing parties. Hundreds of doctors, nurses, and researchers made ready to descend to a plague-stricken alien world. On the planet below, Dr. Thiessen watched the human ships take position. She had spent her whole life studying medicine, healing the sick, saving the dying. She had never imagined that salvation would come in the form of warships, but as she prepared to meet the human medical teams, she felt something she had not felt in weeks. Hope. The human shuttles descended through gray skies onto a world gripped by fear and death. Dr. Lisa Monroe watched through the viewport as the capital city grew larger below. Empty streets, closed buildings, a civilization holding its breath. Lisa had seen epidemics before. She had worked on colony worlds where strange diseases killed hundreds. But nothing had prepared her for the scale of this. The Valari were a population of 8 billion. Already, tens of millions had died. Her shuttle landed at a clear plaza where Valari officials waited in protective suits. Beside her, 30 human doctors and nurses began unloading equipment. Mobile hospital units, diagnostic machines, crates of experimental treatments. Dr. Thiessen approached Lisa with careful steps. The Valari physician was tall and thin, her silver skin marked with the exhaustion of sleepless weeks. Her eyes studied the human woman with a mixture of hope and suspicion. Dr. Monroe, I presume. I am Dr. Thiessen, Chief Medical Officer for the Capital Region. We have prepared facilities for your teams. Lisa extended her hand in the human greeting. After a moment of hesitation, Lisa took it. The touch was brief, but significant. First contact between healers. Show us where you need us most, Lisa said. We did not come this far to waste time. The days that followed were brutal. Human medical teams spread across the planet, setting up treatment centers in the hardest-hit areas. The cultural clash was immediate and constant. Valari medicine was careful and methodical. Every treatment required extensive testing, review by committees, approval from multiple authorities. Humans worked differently. They made quick decisions based on incomplete information. They improvised when standard procedures failed. They took risks that horrified their Valari counterparts. In one hospital, Lisa and Thissa argued for hours over a treatment approach. You cannot inject patients with untested compounds, Thissa insisted. Our protocols require months of safety studies. Your patients will be dead in months, Lisa replied bluntly. This treatment has worked on similar diseases in human colonies. The risk of inaction is greater than the risk of trying. And if it kills them faster, then we learn something and adjust. That is how we fight plagues. Not with caution, but with speed. Thisa stared at the human doctor. In her world, such aggressive medicine was practically criminal. But her world was dying. Very well, she said quietly. But I will monitor every patient personally. The treatment worked. Not perfectly, not on everyone, but enough. Word spread through the medical community. Human methods were dangerous, but effective. Slowly, Valari doctors began adopting the hybrid approach, combining their precision with human aggression. Above the planet, Admiral Brooks maintained her defensive perimeter. The fleet spread around Thiessen Prime in a protective shell, sensors constantly scanning for threats. Lieutenant Amy Grant worked around the clock, analyzing every piece of intelligence they could gather. Admiral, I have confirmed Kreth scout ships at the edge of the system, she reported one morning. They have been watching us for 3 days. No hostile action, but they are definitely monitoring the situation. Commander Hughes studied the tactical display. They are waiting to see if we leave. The moment we withdraw, they will strike. Then, we do not withdraw, Catherine said simply. What is our supply situation? We can maintain position for another 2 months at current consumption. After that, we will need resupply from Earth. Catherine nodded. Send a message to command. Request supply ships and reinforcements. Make sure the message is transmitted on frequencies the Kreth can intercept. I want them to know we are not leaving. On the surface, the breakthrough came on the 23rd day. Lisa and Thesa had been working together constantly, their initial friction transforming into grudging respect and eventually genuine partnership. They shared meals when they remembered to eat. They slept in shifts at the hospital. They argued and debated and pushed each other to think differently. It was Thesa who first noticed the pattern. It was Lisa who proposed the solution. Together, they developed a treatment protocol that could save millions. It targets the artificial markers in the virus, Tessa explained to the Emergency Council meeting. Human research identified these markers as engineered weaknesses. By exploiting them, we can destroy the plague at its source. Dr. Samuel Price, observing via communication link from the Resolute Dawn, added his assessment. We can begin mass production of the treatment immediately. With Velari manufacturing capacity and human formula, we can treat the entire infected population within 6 weeks. High Counselor Myra Veth listened in amazement. 6 weeks. After months of watching her people die, these strange humans had given her an end date. Begin immediately, she ordered. Authorize whatever resources they need. As the meeting ended, Lisa and Thesa stood outside the council building, watching the sunset. For the first time in weeks, there were people on the streets. Not many, but some. Life beginning to return. I still do not understand, Thesa said quietly. Why did your people come? Truly, we are strangers to you. We insulted your diplomats 5 years ago. We called you primitive. Why help us? Lisa thought about the question for a long moment. Because you asked, she said finally. That is what we do. When someone asks for help, we help. It is that simple. Nothing is that simple. Maybe not, but sometimes the simple answer is still the true one. In orbit, Admiral Brooks received Lieutenant Grant's latest report. The Kreth scouts had withdrawn to the edge of their sensor range, but they had not left. They were still watching, still waiting. Catherine sent a single message to the Kreth commander, broadcast on open frequencies for all to hear. This system is under human protection. Any hostile action will be met with overwhelming force. You have been warned. The message traveled across space. In the Kreth Dominion, it was received with anger and disbelief. The humans were bluffing. They had to be. 17 ships could not stand against the might of the Dominion. Warlord Wrath Korvax read the message and laughed. He began assembling his fleet. The battle for Thesan Prime was coming. The Kreth invasion fleet was a terrifying sight. 42 warships arranged in attack formation, their dark hulls bristling with weapons. At the center flew the massive command ship Devastator, carrying Warlord Wrath Korvax himself. Korvax was a veteran of many conquests. He had crushed rebellions, destroyed enemy fleets, and brought entire civilizations to their knees. The humans were newcomers to the galaxy. They did not understand how things worked. They did not understand that the strong took what they wanted and the weak suffered. He would teach them. On the Resolute Dawn, alarms began sounding as the Kreth fleet entered the system. Admiral Brooks stood at the tactical display, watching the enemy formation approach. 42 ships against 17. The numbers were terrible. All ships to battle stations, she ordered calmly. Signal the Velari government. Tell them to prepare for possible surface bombardment. Commander Hughes worked the tactical board rapidly. Admiral, their formation is designed to overwhelm with numbers. They will try to encircle us and destroy our ships one by one. Then we do not let them encircle us. What are our advantages? Speed, Admiral. Our ships are faster and more maneuverable, and our point defense systems are superior. We can survive their initial bombardment if we keep moving. Lieutenant Grant added her analysis. The Kreth command ship is the key. Warlord Korvax leads from the front. If we can take out the Devastator, their fleet will lose coordination. Catherine studied the display. An insane plan began forming in her mind. It was risky. It might fail completely, but it was their only chance. All ships, form up on my signal. We are going to punch straight through their formation and hit their command ship. Everything we have. High Counselor Myra Veth contacted the fleet with a desperate plea. Admiral Brooks, you must withdraw. This is not your fight. You came to help us with the plague, not to die for us. Please, save your people. Catherine shook her head. With respect, High Counselor, we are not leaving. We came here to save your world. That includes saving it from enemies who created the plague in the first place. Tell your people to stay strong. This will be over soon. The two fleets closed the distance. Kreth weapons began firing at extreme range, testing the human defenses. The Resolute Dawn shuddered as the first impacts hit her shields. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta. Target the command ship. Do not stop for anything. The human fleet surged forward. Instead of forming a defensive circle, they attacked in a wedge formation, cutting straight toward the heart of the Kreth armada. The unexpected aggression caught Korvax off guard. They are insane, he growled. Destroy them. The battle became chaos. Human ships wove through the Kreth formation at maximum speed, their superior maneuverability allowing them to dodge the heavier enemy weapons. Point defense systems shot down incoming missiles. Energy shields flared and failed and regenerated. On the surface of Thesan Prime, the population watched the sky burn. Distant flashes marked explosions in orbit. Everyone understood that their fate hung in the balance dot in the capital city hospital. Dr. Lisa Monroe refused to stop working. Patients still needed treatment. The cure still needed to be distributed. Around her, staff members ran to windows to watch the battle above. Back to work, she ordered. We cannot control what happens up there. We can only control what happens here. Dr. Thissanall stood beside her, organizing the next batch of treatments. Your Admiral. She will not retreat, will she? No, she will not. Then let us make sure her sacrifice is not wasted. Whatever happens. In space, the human fleet reached the Kreth center line. The fighting was brutal now, ship to ship, weapon to weapon. The destroyer Iron Valley took a devastating hit that crippled her engines. Instead of falling back, her captain made a decision. All hands, brace for impact. Target the Devastator. Full speed. The Iron Valley accelerated toward the Kreth command ship. Korvax saw it coming too late. The human destroyer slammed into the Devastator at full velocity, tearing through shields and armor. Both ships exploded in a blinding flash. Warlord Wrath Korvax died in an instant. His command staff died with him. The Kreth fleet lost all central coordination. Admiral Brooks saw her moment. All ships, press the attack. They are breaking. Without their warlord, the Kreth captains began acting independently. Some continued fighting. Others tried to retreat. Their disciplined formation collapsed into disorder. Human ships exploited every gap. The cruiser Steadfast destroyed 2 enemy vessels in rapid succession. The carrier Resolute Dawn launched fighter waves that overwhelmed Kreth defenses. One by one, the enemy ships began to flee. On the surface, Sergeant Tony Reeves led his Marine squad in defense of the main hospital complex. Kreth dropships had attempted a ground assault during the battle, hoping to destroy the Cure production facilities. The Marines held the line, fighting hand-to-hand in the corridors. "Hold position!" Reeves shouted over the chaos. "They do not get past us." The ground fight was short but vicious. When the last Kreth soldier fell, Reeves found Dr. Monroe still working in the treatment center, her medical equipment surrounded by bullet holes but undamaged. "The sky is clearing," he reported. "I think we won." Lisa looked up at the ceiling, as if she could see the battle ending above. "Then let us finish what we started." In orbit, the surviving Kreth ships retreated at maximum speed. Of the 42 that had come to conquer, only 19 escaped. Behind them, they left debris fields and the wreckage of their ambitions. Admiral Brooks surveyed her own losses. 4 human ships destroyed, including the brave Iron Valley. 6 more severely damaged. Over 800 sailors and Marines dead, but Thesan Prime survived. Miraveth appeared on the communication screen, tears streaming down her silver face. "Admiral Brooks, I do not have words." Catherine's voice was tired but steady. "No words needed, High Counselor. This is what we came for. This is what we do." The battle for Thesan Prime was over. The cost had been terrible. But somewhere in the wreckage and the victory, something new had been born. A bond between 2 peoples that would never be broken. 3 months had passed since the battle. Thesan Prime was healing. The plague that had killed tens of millions was now contained. Treatment centers across the planet distributed the cure developed by human and Volari doctors working together. Mortality rates dropped to nearly 0. Children played in streets that had been empty and silent. Markets reopened. Life returned. Dr. Lisa Monroe stood on the balcony of the medical center, watching the sunset paint the alien sky in colors she had grown to love. Tomorrow, she would board a shuttle back to the Resolute Dawn. The human medical teams were going home. Dr. Thesa Knoll found her there, holding a small crystal box. The Volari physician looked different now than she had 3 months ago. The exhaustion was gone from her eyes, replaced by something softer. "I have been authorized to present this to you," Thesa said formally. Then her voice became personal. "But more than authorized, I wish to do so myself." She opened the box. Inside lay a crystal carved with intricate patterns, glowing faintly with internal light. "This is the Volari Honor Crystal. It is our highest civilian award. In 3,000 years of our civilization, it has been given to outsiders exactly 4 times. You are the 5th." Lisa took the crystal carefully. It was warm in her hands, almost alive. "I do not know what to say. You saved us. You and your people. When everyone else turned away, when the galaxy left us to die, humans came. You worked beside us. You fought for us. You died for us." Thesa's voice caught, saying nothing. "You have already said everything that matters through your actions." The 2 doctors embraced, a gesture that would have been unthinkable 3 months ago. Now it felt natural. In orbit, the repaired Resolute Dawn hosted a memorial service. Admiral Brooks stood before a crowd of human sailors and Volari dignitaries, reading the names of the fallen. Each name was followed by a moment of silence. When she reached the crew of the Iron Valley, she paused. 83 names. 83 people who had given everything so that a world of strangers could survive. "They did not die for conquest or glory," Catherine said. "They died because someone needed help and they answered. That is the human way. That is what we do." High Counselor Miraveth rose to speak. The leader who had once dismissed humans as primitive barbarians now stood before their memorial with tears on her face. "When I sent our distress signal, I expected nothing. The galaxy had abandoned us. We were dying alone. Then your ships appeared on our sensors, and I thought we were facing a new enemy. She looked at the assembled crowd. Instead, we found the greatest friends our people have ever known. She walked to the memorial wall where the names of the fallen were inscribed. Gently, she touched the surface. The Valari will never forget. Your names will be taught to our children. Your sacrifice will be honored for as long as our civilization endures. You came as strangers and leave as family. The ceremony ended with a moment of silence observed by both species. Human and Valari stood together, united by loss and by hope. In the galactic concord, the news of Thesan Prime spread quickly. The other civilizations watched recordings of the battle, studied reports of the medical mission, and struggled to understand what they had witnessed. Ambassador Joran Cass addressed the Concord Assembly, speaking to representatives of 100 worlds. For years, we dismissed humans as aggressive newcomers, dangerous, unpredictable, primitive. We were wrong. He let his words settle over the silent chamber. When our world faced extinction, it was humans who answered. When we faced invasion, it was humans who fought. 17 ships against 42. They should have fled. Instead, they stood their ground and won. He looked around at the assembled diplomats. This is not the behavior of primitives. This is the behavior of protectors. The galaxy must reconsider everything it believes about humanity. The Concord debated for weeks. Eventually, they lifted the quarantine on Valari space and opened formal discussions with Earth about expanded diplomatic relations. The Kreth Dominion faced sanctions and internal chaos following their defeat. Their expansion was halted, their military humiliated. Lieutenant Amy Grant received a promotion and a new assignment monitoring Dominion activities. Her intelligence work had been crucial to understanding the true nature of the plague and predicting the invasion. Commander Hughes retired from active combat, duty to teach tactics at the academy. His battle plan at Thesan Prime became required study for every officer candidate. Dr. Samuel Price returned to Earth with volumes of new research. The collaboration between human and Valari. Medicine had produced breakthroughs that would benefit both species for generations. Sergeant Reeves and his Marines received medals for their defense of the hospital complex. They shrugged off the attention with typical modesty. They had just done their jobs. On the final day before departure, High Counselor Myra Veth requested a private meeting with Admiral Brooks aboard the Resolute Dawn. The two women sat in the Admiral's quarters, sharing a drink that was too sweet for human taste and too bitter for Valari. "I must ask you something," Myra said. "A question that has haunted me since your fleet first arrived. Ask, why did you bring warships? We asked for doctors. We expected a medical frigate at most. You sent 17 warships and changed the fate of our world. Why?" Catherine considered the question carefully. She remembered the decision she had made months ago, standing before the star map in her ready room. "Because you asked for help?" she said finally. "You did not specify what kind. So we brought everything. Doctors because you needed healing. Ships because you needed protection. Everything we had because that is what help means to us. But we were strangers. Enemies, some would say. We had insulted your people. We had called you primitive." Catherine smiled. "You needed help. That is all that mattered. When someone is drowning, you do not ask if they are your friend before throwing them a rope." Myra was silent for a long moment. "Your people are remarkable, Admiral. The galaxy does not yet understand what you are. But we do. The Valari understand. And what are we? You are hope." Myra set down her drink. "In a galaxy of empires that take and species that ignore, you are the ones who give. You are the ones who come when called. That is more terrifying to some than any weapon, and more beautiful to others than any treasure." The next morning, the human fleet prepared for departure. Crowds gathered across Thesan Prime to watch the ships that had saved them leave orbit. In every city, people paused their daily lives to look up at the sky. Admiral Brooks gave the order, and the Resolute Dawn began moving toward open space. One by one, the other ships fell into formation behind her. 16 vessels now instead of 17. One chair empty on every bridge dot as the fleet reached the edge of the system. A transmission came from the surface. It was from every communication system on the planet, broadcasting simultaneously. 8 billion Valari voices united in a single message. Thank you. Catherine Brooks stood on her bridge, looking out at the stars. They had come to answer a cry for help. They had stayed to fight a war. They were leaving behind a friendship that would last forever. The Resolute Dawn jumped to faster than light travel, disappearing in a flash of light. Abyss of light. Behind them, Vision Prime continued to heal. And across the galaxy, other civilizations began to wonder what would happen the next time someone called for help. They had seen what humans could do. They had learned what humans would do. The galaxy would never be the same.